Hey guys, welcome to That Florida Feelin'. How is everybody this week? Still Florida in the summer. I hope you guys are having fun though in the summer. I know it feels like it's towards the end of summer. We're well past 4th of July. I don't know. I feel like after 4th of July, I know we still have Labor Day, but I don't know. I feel like it's just kind of ends. I don't know why I feel that. I don't know. Maybe it's just me, I guess, because now Halloween decorations are out or coming out and school stuff's going back. And I don't know. I know summer truly never ends in Florida, but that's just always how it feels. Hurricane season is still underway. I mean, I'm still buying canned goods every now and then because they really don't go bad. And my 5,000 packs of water, which also don't go bad. And you can never have enough water. And staying hydrated is really important, especially when it's humid and hot. But yeah, thanks for all the support, guys. I hope you guys have enjoyed the last few episodes, in between actually just listening to me ramble and the awesome chats that I've gotten to have with people, especially from Unfiltered Studios. If you haven't checked that out, you need to. Also, guys, thank you for the love on all the social media pages. You guys are amazing, as always. I say that and I mean it every time. Today, I'm doing such a cool episode. This is one of those episodes that I never really thought I would do, and then you find the right people, and it works, and this was just so much fun. This is one of my longer episodes, but it was such a cool episode. This is another group from Unfiltered Studios. It's Movielovers Unite, and it was great to get to talk to him. He has people on and he does movie reviews, and we got to do one of my favorite movies from growing up. And I'm not going to spoil it because you'll hear about it when we talk about it. But I never actually thought about doing a movie review that was filmed in Florida. And here it is. And this was so much fun. And if you guys like this episode, I'm going to do more. And I'm going to do more with Movielovers Unite, because this is probably one of my favorite episodes that I never thought about doing, and now that I've done it, I cannot wait to do another one. So without further ado, guys, enjoy the episode. Hey guys, so today I am going to do something a little different, something way more fun. And if these go good, or even if I just have more fun, we're going to do a lot more of these. So today I have John from Movielovers Unite. It's a podcast that is in Unfiltered Studios, one of my networks that I'm in. And we're going to talk about a movie that was filmed in Florida. So, John, you want to say hi?
Hey, guys. It's good to be here. Thank you for having me, Jody. I do appreciate this so much. I appreciate the time that you have for me to be able to review this movie that we're going to be reviewing.
Absolutely, because we both know it's one of our favorites. Actually, John, you know what? Since I know it's one of your favorites, do you want to tell them what movie we're going to review?
We are going to be reviewing Edward Scissorhands. And, matter of fact, funny story, we actually did our Best of Johnny Depp movie bracket on Movielovers Unite. It's now on the audio podcast and video format on YouTube. If you guys want to follow me on both of those, that's great. But yeah, we did a Johnny Depp NFL draft kind of style bracket, and we ended up choosing the winner at the very end, but I'm not going to tell you which ones won. So, just go ahead and check that out if you guys want to.
Yeah, and I didn't actually realize that you were doing the Johnny Depp one this week, so it's funny that we're talking about this now, because I'm like, oh, this perfectly lines up for you.
Right, and I didn't expect it. It was just pure coincidence and everything, because we were talking about collabing. I'm like, well, what can we talk about? And I'm like, well, the only place I've been to is Orlando and St. Augustine, and that's the only places that I've been to. Which is fine. It's good to be able to do this. Yeah.
Those are both fun. I mean, I'm technically living just a little bit north of St. Augustine right now, and I used to work at Disney, so that would have been a great conversation. But anytime I get to talk about Johnny Depp, I am down for it. And then to talk about one of my favorite movies from my childhood is so much even better.
Most definitely. It's always good to talk about our childhood, where we first seen it from, and all that other good stuff.
Absolutely.
But just a little bit of a thing about how I do things at Movielovers Unite, in case anybody's wondering.
Yeah, tell them about your podcast. Actually tell them about your podcast.
Yeah, so basically what I do is we do a nostalgic review first. Basically, we'll go on ahead. I'll talk to my guests. Be like, well, when was like the first time that you've seen Edward Scissorhands, and where does it hold up nostalgically for you? And we go base out of 10 for that, and then after that we go on ahead, we strip away the nostalgia, and then we go based out of 10 for stripping away the nostalgia by going scene by scene. At the very end, we give you our thoughts on where we hold up now as far as seeing things through the adult lenses and not through the eyes of a child. But yeah, that's what we do at Movielovers Unite.
And see, I love that because there's a lot of movies that you watch now as an adult that you watched as a kid. And first of all, there's a lot of jokes you didn't get that you get now, and you think, oh my gosh. And then secondly, you go back and you think, okay, either that's still hilarious or, oh my God, that is horrible.
Exactly, because I'm like, oh my God, I ended up dragging my mom to see this movie.
Right,
and I felt so bad because the special effects were really bad.
Right.
I was really bad.
Like,
I
just can't, like, there's some, like, okay, even though it's not Florida, I still have to say it. Nightmare on Elm Street, because it's a Johnny Depp movie. I'm actually going to include this. That is the worst. Oh my God. Like, I was scared of that, and you can see the strings on his arms. Sorry.
And it's crazy to think, like, this stuff, like, it just shows you the innocence of a child on how much we believe, and then once we get into our adulthood, it's like, oh, this is actually fake. This is look at this strings that's attached to this guy.
Yes.
Look how fake everything is.
I know. It's just so bad. Okay, but back to Edward Scissorhands, because, we got us down.
Well, that's close enough. Yeah. Freddy has some flaws, too, so it kind of counts.
Yeah, and Johnny Depp was in the movie. Even if it was for a really short time. We still we kept it in the circle. So, all right, so tell me the first time. We'll keep it sort of in the nostalgic part first. Where did you first see Edward Scissorhands then?
So I remember 9-year-old John watching the previews for the very first time, and whenever Winona Ryder turns Johnny around, aka Edward Scissorhands, around, and he's dressed in goth and everything, I'm like, I need to see this movie.
Yes.
And so my mom and I went to the movie theaters. We went to see this movie, and I just fell in love with it. I just loved that whole entire small town kind of feel to it, where everybody knows everybody, which is a town that I basically live in as well. But also, too, I just love the whole entire fish out of water kind of thing of a guy learning the ways that other people do because of the fact he's been locked up in the castle and things like that. And just seeing, this was my first Johnny Depp movie that I've seen, even though I've seen Nightmare on Elm Street probably before this.
Yeah.
But as a kid, this was my first time really focusing in on Johnny Depp.
Yeah, and I saw it, I was a little bit younger than you. I got to see it. I wasn't supposed to go see it, but I got to go see it. And I had kind of seen, because Johnny Depp was doing 21 Jump Street a little bit before this. And, I wanted to see something different. I had seen, you grew up with the Disney movies during that time. But I wanted to see something different. It was really cool to see something so different. And, of course, Tim Burton had already done Batman. And Tim Burton was just known for being different. And so it was really cool to kind of see a gothic, almost fairy tale.
Exactly. That's one thing. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I'm just saying, that was really cool for that. It was something different, so different.
I definitely agree with you on that. And the thing that Tim does so well is building a world around certain characters, and Batman 1989 is hands down my favorite movie of all time.
Oh, I love it.
That's my first movie that I ever seen in the theater.
Mine was Little Mermaid. That's fine. No, it wasn't Little Mermaid. It would not have been Little Mermaid. It was something else. No, it was. What was it? Because I got scared. I think I only made it 5 minutes. Oh well, that's how bad it was. I don't remember. It was something else, but was it Ghostbusters? Might have been Ghostbusters, and now I love Ghostbusters. Either way, it was, but it was just something so different, and Tim Burton tells the story so well, and then to have Vincent Price,
right,
teaching
horror icon,
and I love it because he teaches Edward that etiquette scene where he's telling him about the tea, and it's such a one-off scene, and then he's like, it's okay to smile, and Johnny Depp gives this absolutely painful smile.
Like this awkward smile.
Yes.
That's kind of creepy, though, but he's also trying to smile, too, because he's saying it's okay to smile.
Yeah, and it's so bad that it's good. And then what I realize now is looking at the outfit Johnny Depp was wearing then is like, well, that was in style now. Like, okay, thanks, come around. So, but it was, you know, it was just so good. It was bad, but it was so good, you know?
I agree, because, okay, so I want to piggyback off of what you said about Burton for a minute, though,
Go ahead,
too.
yeah.
The thing that I liked about Burton is this, okay?
Mm-hmm.
He builds a world. Let's use Beetlejuice as an example here.
Okay.
The very beginning with the credits and everything, you see the small town, you see the theme song, you hear the theme song from Danny Elfman.
Yes.
With this, it's the same way, except for one thing. He does something totally different. He winds up introducing us into the world of Edward through the castle, through the credits, and giving us an outline of who that character is. And then he circles back around and shows us the outline of who Peggy is, where she comes from, and stuff like that, too. So that's something I really love, is the world building that Tim does around the characters. And that's something I really love.
He literally made you feel bad for two characters in the first 10 minutes.
Exactly.
He made you feel bad for Edward trapped in a castle, and then this Avon lady who everybody is just being a bitch to, you know?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Peggy did not deserve any of the treatment that she was getting.
No.
She was getting disrespected just as Edward was getting disrespected.
Yes.
And being looked down on. And this is like the sweetest woman. And
I know.
I love this actress to death of just how sweet she is. She's just a sweetheart of a person.
And actually, so since we talked about the neighborhood, we'll go ahead and talk about that part in Florida. So it was filmed in Lutz. It is pronounced Lutz. It doesn't look like it, but it is. And you can actually still go visit this neighborhood. You can actually, the guy that owns the house that was their house, he actually has an Instagram account. Have you ever seen it?
I haven't seen the Instagram account.
Yeah.
But I'm actually a subscriber to Oh My Gosh TV.
Okay.
And I don't know if you know who Omar is.
Yeah, I do. Mm-hmm.
You do? Okay. Yep. So Omar went in 2020 to this neighborhood.
Yep.
And of course, during COVID and stuff like that, they couldn't go in.
Yeah.
A year later, they go over to the person's house, and he's giving tours to them. And he had Johnny Depp's cigarettes that he laid up on the counter still.
Yep. There is.
From back in those days. And then the props and everything else that was inside that house. It was just awesome to see all that stuff. I was geeking out.
Oh, absolutely. You can go tour it. The guy's name is Joe, and he has an Instagram account. It is official_Scissorland. Yeah.
I like that.
And the actual house is at 1774 10 Smith Circle. That's the actual address. You can find it online. It's in Lutz. Of course, it's not painted pastel anymore. Shame, because those are actually really fun colors. And what kills me about that is, like, there are certain parts of Florida where that's actually a thing. Like, you will find tons of houses painted in pastel, mostly towards the beach, not gonna lie. But there's stucco houses painted in the pinks and the greens and the blues and the oranges and the purples. And so Tim Burton probably didn't mean for it to look Floridian, but boy, he said it that way.
He definitely did. And I think I want to say that most of those houses are probably in the beach, put them in the minutes of the beach, right? On how those neighborhoods are laid out, right? Those neighborhoods are laid out, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, kind of. Yeah, but it's the so that's actually like 1980s suburbia Florida. But what's funny is, like, that is nowhere near the beach. It's Lutz. It's near Tampa, but it's nowhere near the beach. I mean, you're still talking an hour and a half to even Tampa Bay, the actual bay. So it's just, you know, it was when Florida was kind of starting to grow again. It's the ranch style 3-bedroom, 2-bath. It's got the terrazzo tile floor. It's got the basic model. It was probably around $70,000 when it was built, and it's probably close to $250,000 today, probably more the way Florida's growing. That's what's so funny. But
right,
yeah.
because of inflation and stuff.
Oh, yeah. God, yeah. And actually, that area of Tampa is, like, booming. That's Lutz, Wesley Chapel, all that, the area where they were kind of filming. Because I think the crew ended up staying. They stayed in Wesley Chapel in a place called Saddlebrook. And that's a really nice area now. So, like, what used to be country where they were filming, because if you kind of watch the, like, where they were filming, you can kind of see where part of that, like, subdivision ends, and it kind of almost looked like farmland. That would not be farmland today.
Right. I did notice that, though, too, like, where the castle is set up at and everything, you can tell that is a little bit of a country kind of land.
Yeah.
And stuff like that, in a sense, because that was just added on. There was nothing there to begin with.
No, because, okay, first of all, sorry to disappoint, Florida has absolutely no hills. No, none. Florida's completely flat, and the castle was actually built in Dade City. Not even not really close to Lutz. It was a little bit further out, and it was really funny because, like, you can go find, like, old news clips of, like, Fox 13, which is a channel out of Tampa Bay, and you can see the locals talking about this castle with this castle in the distance, right? Because it's only a shell. Right. And to hear them talk about it is absolutely hilarious. Like, half of them were like, it's ugly, it's an eyesore, they better take it down. And then
they had no idea what it was.
No, they knew it was a rumor, something about Johnny Depp. That's all they ever heard. They didn't.
It would be funny, like, Johnny Depp just bought that castle just to snoop on people looking over them.
Right. Like, you should have just bought that patch of land and left it.
Right.
Just to make people
that's
mad.
A requirement. Like, if you're shooting it, like, all houses must remain the same and be intact the way that it was shot with Edward Scissorhands.
Right.
You're not allowed to change the colors or anything else, but anything inside the house you're allowed to. That would be hilarious if they did something like that.
Right, but what's funny is if they had done that, it would have still looked like Florida, minus the castle.
True.
You know, it would have still fit. It would have fit in today, because now, like, where we lived, we actually didn't live far. We lived about probably an hour and a half from that little area when we lived in Central Florida, and we had houses in our neighborhood that were purple, and it was just like a normal thing.
I have a feeling that Florida was pretty much like that to begin with, even though I've been through Orlando and parts of St. Augustine and stuff like that too. So yeah, it definitely fit the Florida vibe of it.
Yeah,
so I didn't feel like it was out of place.
No, and and that's something I've never seen an interview with Tim Burton, and I wish that there was one, or that somebody would ask him, like, did he do that on purpose, or did he do that just to make a contrast between Edward's life and, like, everybody else?
You know what? If I ever have a pleasure of interviewing Tim, I'll definitely ask him that question.
Please do. Please add.
I will.
Just we want to know that.
All right. But there's so much iconic scenes within this movie, though, too.
Yeah, there are. Like, I don't even know. What's your favorite scene in the movie, and just overall?
So I would have to go with whenever Tig first brings him home.
Yeah.
Because of the fact that everybody's over there looking inside the car, wondering who the hell this guy is that she's bringing home. And then you have Edward, who's excited that he's actually stepping out of the house, out of his castle for the first time, and he bumps his head on the passenger side. Mm-hmm. And I'm just cracking. I crack up every single time. I don't know why I shouldn't be laughing, but I just love the overexcitement and the innocence of who Edward is.
Yeah. And
that's what it is. It's basically just an innocence of this man who's been trapped up there for years and been forgotten.
Yeah.
And now he's seen the light of day.
And he's never been in a car, and he wouldn't know how to get out of one, so it makes total sense that he would, smack his head getting out of it.
Right.
No, I love that scene. I think my favorite scene is the waterbed scene.
Oh, yeah, the waterbed scene.
Where she comes home early and scares the crap out of him. And he just, he can't get up because he's got scissors and stabs the waterbed like 20 times. And it just goes shooting.
You should have thought what that one through.
I mean, but it was so good. It was so great because, like, she's panicking. He's panicking. She doesn't know what to do. He can't do anything. It was, to me, that was just such a great scene because it truly showed, like, obviously somebody's in my bed and he's like, I don't know what to do.
Right? so I'll just lay here, and hopefully she won't notice me.
Right. I thought that would, like, I think that's literally one of my favorite, probably my favorite scenes.
That's one of my favorite ones. The lemonade scene is also another one of my favorite ones. Whenever after that happens, the father and him go down to the basement to get a drink.
Yeah.
He gives him some alcohol with some, and he goes, "What's this?" He goes, "Lemonade." Okay. Yeah.
He just takes it. Like, it doesn't matter what it is. It's just going to be lemonade today.
Right, and then
No, go ahead.
But the thing that I laughed my ass off, though, is when he goes over to the slut next door. I mean, the woman next door.
No, you called that one right. Thank you.
Right. When he goes over there, he goes, what's that, lemonade? And all of a sudden, it just makes him barf. And I'm laughing about that because of the fact that in his mind, he remembers that time and that taste of him not feeling so great afterwards. It's like having a Jägermeister for the first time and not wanting to go and taste any more of it. And that's exactly how it is for him with lemonade.
Yeah, now he's been ruined on... Well, because like, it's like he's having so many first experiences that whatever it is now going to stick with him. Right. And so lemonade was not lemonade. I think that since we're talking about that person next door, I think that when she takes him to the salon in the Southgate Plaza, and he goes running out of the building, that is probably my second favorite scene because it was just one of those, like, you want to talk about really scaring somebody.
Yeah, he was scared to death. Like, he didn't know what to do.
No.
To be honest with you, that would actually scare me too, though, because, you're in there supposed to be going to this salon that you're trying to basically be business partner with this woman, even though you don't really know her.
Yeah, and she seems nice to you.
Right,
you think
she has other intentions.
Right.
And she lays you, and she doesn't just lay the guy down on that massage chair. She pushes him there.
She did. I mean, but also no. All right, I'm gonna ask this because we're adults. What did she really think was gonna happen? He has scissors for hands. Like,
she knew exactly what she was gonna do. She wanted a little bit of snippety snip.
Think about it. She was gonna get hurt in the snippety sip. You know what I'm saying?
Well, exactly, because, Edward gets a little too excited. He goes a little choppy.
That's why I'm like, so she only thought, like, half that through.
Right. If she would have went all the way through this, it would have been game over.
Right. And not for her. Well, not for him.
Right, not for him.
No.
For her, though.
Yeah, I'm just okay, so she would have died.
Right, and then next thing you know, you have the cop coming over to him, and like, "Hey man, what happened?" And they're not going to believe him over something like this because they know her in the neighborhood, probably.
Right, and then how's he supposed to explain it? He doesn't even know the word for that.
Right. But I like the innocence though of it when he runs out the door, and he goes over next door to where the diner is. Yeah. And she goes, "So, how did it go?" "It went good. We went to the back to where she ended up taking off her clothes." Yeah. And the father's just ignoring me. He goes, "Yeah, that's good, Ed. That's good. Yep. You see, you're learning a lot already. Okay." Yeah. And you can see the look on his pig's face, like, what the hell just happened?
Yeah, she's just like, she's the only one listening, and she's just like, "Excuse me?" Right. And she has no idea how to address it, because she doesn't want, she's like, "I can't make a scene," but like, no.
I'm actually surprised that she didn't march herself back over there and shoo her out or anything either.
Right, but of course, seeing Peg as the character she was, that didn't seem kind of within her thing, so... No. She was the bigger person of the two, or the better person of the two.
She definitely was. She was just looking out for her family, looking out for Ed the whole entire time.
Yeah, she just wanted him to be better. That's all she ever wanted, was to take care of him. But I do have a fun story about that plaza. Okay. I used to live right outside of Lakeland, which is where that plaza is. And it is iconic. It still looks like that to this day. It still says Southgate and everything. And actually, most of those shops you see when they're walking down that sidewalk still exist in that plaza. Like Kim's Hallmark, is still a thing. That actually still exists there. That's a real shop.
Really? That's really cool.
Yeah, no, that's a real shop. You can still go there. And there's like an Ace Hardware and like a yoga studio. And there actually is a salon there. So I don't know if that's the same one they would have filmed it in, because there wasn't really much in that salon when he went in. But I used to work, I would have to go to that Starbucks every now and then, because there's a Starbucks in the parking lot, and I would have to work in that Starbucks when I was still with Starbucks. But it was really cool, because it is still an iconic landmark for like Lakeland, and then to be featured in this movie was still really, really cool, because you see it and you're like, that's on South Florida Avenue. I know exactly where that is in Florida.
I bet it was a great tourist attraction, though, if anybody was an iHeart fan of Edward Scissorhands and wanting to do a tour.
Yeah.
Stuff like that, too, during that time as well. I think that this would actually be pretty cool to actually go to the locations of where everything was.
Yeah, well, it was actually built because of Publix. Believe it or not. Publix.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Like, it's the main thing in the thing is Publix. So, and most of the time when Publix builds a Publix, they also build a plaza, and then that's how they get revenue. So, Publix owns the plaza, they built Southgate, and that's how you got the plaza.
See, I had no idea. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's really interesting. I didn't know that Publix came with, like, a plaza. That's pretty interesting.
There's very few standalone Publixes by themselves. In fact, I don't know that I've ever seen any. Oh, yeah, no, there's one. There's one in Tennessee by where my mom lives, but there's also, like, a mall 3 feet from it, so I don't know that it's technically standalone. But, yeah, no, most of the time, Publix likes to own the land it sits on, or the building at least, and then usually a plaza with it, and then they are the like landlords of the plaza that they are sitting in. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's very Publix thing.
Let's see here. I do have a couple of fun trivia facts.
Oh, go for it. Let's hear it.
So some of the let's see here. I do want to mention this. Robert Smith inspired Edward's hair.
Really?
When the stylist was deciding which crazy black mess of a hair to give Edward, they drew inspiration from the lead singer of British rock band The Cure. Robert Smith is instantly recognizable for his wild jet black hair, and it became iconic for Edward too.
Very cool.
Robert Smith was also offered the soundtrack. A fan of The Cure, Tim Burton approached Robert Smith with the opportunity to record the soundtrack for Edward Scissorhands. Smith was actually too busy at the time working on an album and to pass on the offer. The gig went to Danny Elfman instead, who had already scored Beetlejuice and Batman for Burton, and would later go on to score over a dozen movies for 10 Burton movies.
Yeah, that's iconic. I mean, Danny Elfman is great.
He really is. He's one of my favorite music composers.
Yes.
Aside from John Williams and, Hans Zimmer and stuff like that. But Danny Elfman's hands down one of my favorite ones. As a matter of fact, I was really close to interviewing his brother.
Oh, cool.
At one time as well. But Danny is hands down very talented.
Yeah.
And not only that, but I think you don't need to have someone from The Cure to do this movie. I think it would actually take me out of it.
Yeah, because it would, the movie itself needs to be itself. You don't need a name attached sometimes necessarily to make it better.
I think it would be like too punk rock.
Yeah.
In a sense. You already have Edward in this gothic weird.
Yeah.
And then you add The Cure to it, it'll just feel out of place to me. I think you need to have a gothic kind of score to it. And Danny does a damn good job of doing it.
Oh, he is, especially for Beetlejuice.
Oh, yeah.
And then, although, fun fact, do you know how Danny Elfman got his SAG card?
No, how did he?
Okay, random, because Danny Elfman did the theme for The Simpsons, right?
Yeah.
And you only get that card if you sing. Because he sang that one thing that says The Simpsons, that 2 seconds of saying The Simpsons, that's how he got in for life.
That's fun.
That's it. Yep, that's his entire... He will be in for life for just saying The Simpsons in that, the theme song for The Simpsons. That's it.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I never knew that.
Nope, yep, there's your trivia for Danny Elfman.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. I do appreciate that.
You're welcome.
I do have 2 more fun trivia facts. Tim Burton dressed up at an abandoned restaurant for one scene.
Oh, okay.
One scene sees the family eating in a restaurant. The location was actually a real restaurant that we mentioned, that had closed down for some years before. The restaurant was called Sambo's and was part of a chain of the same name. The chain fell out of favor partly due to its politically incorrect name, and most of the chain closed down. The restaurant is sat empty until Burton filmed there for Edward Scissorhands.
Okay, cool.
Depp and Ryder got engaged 5 months after filming.
Aw, okay.
Although they had each other's eyes at a movie premiere before filming Edward Scissorhands, the film allowed them to get a lot closer to each other as their characters fall in love. 5 months after filming, the couple got engaged.
Aw, I mean, they were iconic for, like, the 90s. They really were.
I really love Winona Ryder, especially off of Stranger Things now, and then I like how she ended up making a resurgence back into acting.
Oh yeah, I mean, she was always my favorite in Dracula.
Yeah, Dracula is one of my favorite ones as well.
Yeah,
Bram Stoker's. Yeah.
Yeah, I loved that. But no, I thought I liked her in that. I liked her in Beetlejuice. But she was really, really good in Edward Scissorhands. But I always thought they were like an iconic couple in like the early 90s. And I thought they were cute together.
I agree. Then you have the ballback Jim that okay, there's two punchable faces for me, right?
Okay.
In this movie. Number one, Jim.
All right.
Is actually a punchable face for me, but also the woman who winds up taking him to the back.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, though. I can't punch a woman or anything like that, so I'll just slap her hand.
That's fine. That's fine.
So I won't do that. But,
I mean, the woman might like it. The way she looked, she might be into that, so you better be careful there.
Yeah, I might have to get Ed to back me up and put some scissors on her or something.
Yeah, be careful on that one. But yeah, no, I mean, I didn't like her. Like, he did a really good character in creating a character you hate, and that was her.
I agree.
Yeah.
What about the church woman, though? I think she was every small town has this church woman who's always confining you to go to hell and everything else.
Yeah, and
yeah.
So what's funny is he did really good in making a small town, and he made a really good small town in Florida because having lived in a couple small towns in Florida, he nailed it. Like, you said you live in the South. I won't say where you live, but you said you live in the South, so you understand that. Like,
right.
There are small towns, and especially in Florida, in Central Florida, where this was filmed. Boy, he nailed it. Like, there's always the town slut, and then there's always the church lady who is condemning everybody to hell. And then there's always the one really nice one who gets picked on and everybody talks about behind their back. There's the people who don't fit in. And then everybody drinks, but nobody admits it. So, he really nailed that town. Like,
he nailed it to a T.
Yeah.
I mean, it's relatable.
And
relatability is something that I look at in a movie. And
yeah,
if I can relate to the characters, that makes it rewatchable, that's something that it has going for itself.
Yeah, absolutely. But especially, and like I said, having lived in Central Florida and Northern Florida, I'm like, did he mean for this to be taking place in Florida? Because if not, he nailed it. So, like, that's the other thing I think is so funny on that one.
I think so too. I think that he nailed the small town area.
Yeah.
And also the way the women gather around gossiping.
And the phone calls.
Nighttime.
The phone chain immediately. Yes.
Like, this is why you don't bring someone home with you in a small town.
No, never. No, until you're engaged or already married, no ma'am. Or no sir. You do not.
Exactly.
You just do not. That is nobody's business.
Actually, here's a funny story, okay? This is something that happened to me.
Okay.
So, I was dating someone. I brought her home with me to meet my parents. This is before I met my wife and everything, okay?
Okay.
So, get this, the girl down the street winds up messaging her on Facebook.
Oh, my God.
Saying that, yeah, and she goes, the girl that, I just want to let you know, he's cheating on you.
Wait, what? She just, like, randomly found her on Facebook?
Yeah, she randomly finds her on Facebook. This is just minutes of me passing her with her in my car.
Okay.
And she goes, who's this girl? I said, what does this say? She said, you're cheating on me? I'm like, okay. Sure. I just seen her outside when we were passing by our house, baby. The person I'm cheating on with is you. Because you were in my car.
So
at that point, she didn't believe anything that this girl had to say. She blocked her. But
I mean, but that is so small town. You're not,
Yep.
You're absolutely not wrong. Like, that is great. Like, that is 1,000% small town. And Tim Burton nailed that. As soon as somebody came through with somebody different in the car, the phone chain started. Everybody got ready. Everybody had to go see who it was. By the time she pulled up to the driveway, they were all ready to see it. And then, when are you going to have the barbecue? Well, we have to meet him. No, you don't. Get out of my house.
No, you don't. I was thinking, I bet you don't have to see nothing.
Right? Like, no.
You came over here to my house, trespassing on my house,
right?
Wanting a barbecue. Why can't we have the barbecue at your house since you're the one who's actually offering the barbecue?
I'll tell you what, when you have it, I'll bring my guest. Maybe.
Exactly.
Maybe not. Probably not. Actually, that's when, so I know you've seen The Departed. That's when you always want to quote the line, maybe yes, maybe no, maybe go fuck yourself.
Exactly.
Sorry, I use that line a lot.
I love that line.
Way too much.
That line just hands down one of my favorite Mark Wahlberg's.
Yes. Probably way too much.
Yeah, Alec Baldwin sayings, yeah.
Yeah, but no, that he nailed that in the small town, in that effect of, like, the cattiness and the nosiness and all of it. And it was great. And then here's Johnny Depp's character, Edward, just trying to be, like, so excited to be something new, and he just doesn't understand. He thinks everybody's being so nice, like when they're trying to feed him at the barbecue.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, ooh. It's like, it's a new toy. God, so bad.
And not only that, but I felt bad for the dude. He's not even having a chance to even digest it or taste anything before they're shoving more food down his throat.
And it all looked so disgusting.
You know what, though? I think they're thinking, well, he doesn't have any hands, so we can't really give him anything solid. So we're just going to go on ahead and give him stuff that we know that he can eat, which is basically slop.
Yeah, but, like, I don't know. That just looked worse.
Yeah, it's way worse.
It looked like every Jell-O salad you shouldn't make or something.
The only thing that I can think that was more appetizing was the shish kebab that he had on the grill.
Right. And then when he said it was ready, he called it something else, and he didn't understand.
And then this is the husband goes, "You have to stop taking things so literal, Ed."
Yeah. And he's like, I don't understand.
Right, he still doesn't understand you.
Like, he's just.
But I like the flashback of him analyzing that joke.
Yeah.
And it's having that flashback of him of the creator of Vincent Price, having that conversation. So yes. I like the self-evaluation of it.
Yeah, and then, I mean, like I said, just Vincent Price alone being in the movie was great.
And here's the thing. I told my wife this. I said, I don't think you know this or not, but Vincent Price died right after making the movie.
Yeah, he was not alive long after that at all. And of course, Vincent Price is iconic. If people don't know, he was the voice in the Thriller, the Thriller song that Michael Jackson did, just to let people connect who we're talking about. But it was so good because he played such a creepy yet nice creator. So, but although, by the way, the Tim Burton theory, where I swear all of his movies are connected, I still believe that, especially after rewatching Edward Scissorhands. I'm just saying.
You know what, though? With Vincent Price being in there, all I can think of is that one movie, what's that one movie where everybody's locked up in a hospital? House on Haunted Hill.
Okay, yes, okay.
The old black and white one with Vincent Price. That's what Edward's house reminds me of in a sense.
Okay, and now I see that. Now I can't unsee that, yeah. Yeah.
And I just love the fact that Tim just like, hey, look, Vincent, would you go on ahead? You're one of my heroes, probably. Would you go on ahead and be in this movie? Yeah, and I think Tim Burton also kind of gives odes to other movies. Even if it's small ones, I think he does that in some of his movies. You know what I mean? I can see that.
Yeah.
I can definitely see that with some of the gothic settings and some of the small cheesiness of some things that he does. I think it's perfect. I think it's captivating. Yeah, especially some of the campiness. Sometimes I think that he definitely tries to pay ode to maybe like the old horror movies, like you said, or other directors that he likes, or wherever he got his inspiration. I definitely think he does that, and I think that's really cool because it allows him to be himself,
definitely, and it shows in his art.
Definitely, because it has a little bit of like 1970s or 80s kind of vibe to it, where it's like Texas Chainsaw Massacre in a sense.
Yes.
With the cheesiness and things like that.
Right, but then he got that whole little gothic fairy tale, so it makes you feel good.
Right, and you also have a lesson being learned as well. Not judge somebody from the outside of their appearance, but judge them for the inside of their heart.
And what's funny is that doesn't just apply to Edward, it applies to the boyfriend.
Yep.
It applies to the slut next door. It applies to the church lady. It applies to most everybody in that movie.
Even Kevin. Because Kevin was also using him to go to show and tell.
Yeah, you're right. I forgot about that. You're right. And I think that's what... And it's really funny because Tim Burton always has those really strange, interesting, yet here's your lesson, even though I'm making a really good movie in the middle of it.
Right.
You know?
And here's a fun fact, though, that nobody knows about. In the movie, Tim Burton was actually going to direct Twister.
No.
Yeah, he was. They actually had a list of directors to direct. I think Tim wound up shutting it down. I told him no.
Okay.
But could you just imagine like a gothic Twister movie?
I mean, there would have been more cows. Definitely more cows.
More cows.
I mean,
castles.
I'd have been okay with that. I mean, having been through a lot of tornadoes, that would have been a little more accurate. I'm just saying.
Right.
But I mean, but Tim Burton is great in pretty much whatever he does,
He's such a creative, like when as a director.
Yeah.
And the way that he ends up placing characters exactly where they need to go.
Yeah.
And wondering how this is going to tie up afterwards.
Yeah.
Because I like the slow tension between Jim and Edward.
Yeah.
At first.
Yes.
Like, first of all, you see Jim making fun of him.
Absolutely.
And especially when he gets electrocuted on the talk show.
Oh God, that was you felt so bad, and you could also see the turning point when she really started to like Edward. That was when you really started to see like, oh, she does have feelings for him. Like, here it is.
And what really turned it on even more was when Jim winds up saying, he'll do it because you asked him to do it. But in her mind, she's also thinking, nah, he's not going to do it.
Yeah.
But then when she asked Ed, he goes, why did you do it? Because you asked me to.
Yeah, it's like, oh, okay, he did it for, oh my God, he was right. Yeah.
It was like that old shit moment is like, oh, snap. Okay.
Yeah.
He definitely was right.
Yeah.
And then that's when she started losing interest in Jim, because that's when he comes over to the house and Edward's over there destroying the drapes and everything else inside the house.
Shredding it. Yeah.
And my thing is this, you would think they would ask, hey Ed, what's going on with you? What's wrong?
Yeah.
Why are you destroying stuff? Instead, the husband's like, Ed, during this, I could just imagine that this is part of their prayer. It's like, God, I just don't know what's going on. I don't know how we're going to replace the drapes.
Yeah.
The towels that Edward has destroyed. But please be with him.
The dad is just so, like, I feel like he is that it is what it is kind of person. Like, nothing's going to faze him, and if it is, he's just going to drink.
Yeah, that's his solution, because that's what the people do in suburbs.
Right, and that's not a good solution, but it's the solution. No. And that's how they hide it. But you're right. It's like the dad never had a good solution.
No, the only thing he thought was, okay, let me teach him from right from wrong.
Yeah, which, thankfully, at least he knew to tell when they got in trouble, he knew to tell what had happened and things like that. But yeah, he really didn't add to the character.
No, he didn't. He was just like, okay.
Like,
instead of giving him like just 3 choices, he gave him 4 choices. I'm like, that's just too much for one person.
Yeah. It's like, why don't
if you would have just stuck with 3, I think he would have gotten it.
Or like, just tell him what he needs. Like, don't be like, be a dad. Tell him what he needs. Not, do you want to do anything? Because that's what you did.
Right. And another, like I was mentioning, another thing with Jim though with the slow build was the fact that he was also making fun of him because he got paid in cookies.
Yeah.
And I think Jim was also thinking, well, there's no way Kim would be after him because of the fact that my parents are rich. Yeah. I have everything I need. I have my own hands. What does Edward have? he's going to be getting paid in cookies. There's no way that Kim's going to go after somebody like that.
Right. And then when he realizes, like, oh, there's more than that. Or maybe that's not what people are after. It's kind of like that's his oh shit moment. You know what I mean?
Right. Because this is what he's after, but just because that's what he's after doesn't mean that's what everybody else wants.
Right. You can't force somebody to like what you like.
No, and you can't force anybody to love you or anything either.
Right.
And that's exactly what he was doing. It didn't matter how much Kim told him to go away, I'm not into you anymore. He still came, instigated that whole entire deal.
Yeah.
And then he's drunk, then almost runs over her own brother.
Yeah.
And poor Edward rescues him, and he's panicking, and he's cutting Kevin's face on an accident because he's just freaked out.
Yeah, and he's just trying to help, and he's doing the best he can, and he doesn't mean it, and he did what was right, but he couldn't. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
And then Jim comes over to his domain now, into the castle, and wants to kill it.
Yeah, and and I think as a kid, that was scary to me.
I'll be honest with you. Him just coming out of the shadows, just as Edward came out of the shadows whenever you've seen him for the first time, is how I felt.
Yeah.
With Jim coming out.
Yeah.
Of the shadows. And I'm like, oh, snap. How is this going to happen?
Right, like, what's going to happen now?
And then you see Kim, she winds up trying to take the gun away from Jim. Jim accidentally shoots the gun, and it winds up making the roof cave in on Edward.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh my god, is he dead? Is he okay?
Like, you think the worst.
And the poor guy, he's gone through so much within the only couple of days that he's been out.
Yeah, it's been maybe, 3 days since the movie actually started, technically?
Right, 3 or 4 days. If I was Edward, I'm like, you know what, I'm going back up to my castle. You guys are too crazy for me.
You know what, just leave, and leave me alone.
Right, I'm good. I don't need to see the light of day anymore. I've seen enough.
Like, no thanks. No, I'm good.
Right? You stay over here, I'll stay over here, we don't intertwine.
Yeah, you
know
crazy.
who I am, I know who you are, we're good.
Yeah, you crazies stay down at the end of my driveway. Thank you.
Right?
Yeah. No, and but it does have a happy ending. Mm-hmm. I'll accept that it doesn't snow in Florida.
Right.
Just had to say that.
And I was just jokingly asking my wife, I said, how did he get the ice up there?
Yeah.
And she goes, it's snow. I said, no. How did he get the ice up there?
Right.
I know Amazon wasn't around during that time.
Right, like, what did they do?
But I'm just clowning around.
No, I thought, so, did you rewatch it before we talked about it? Be truthful.
Yeah.
So did I. Does it still hold up?
I'll have to break it down scene by scene to just because I'm so basically how I did this one was I did it nostalgically.
Yeah.
And stuff like that because we're not doing the scene by scene or anything like that. But
right.
Nostalgically, I'm still geeked out over it. I still love the movie.
Same.
I still hurt for Edward whenever he's on the talk show.
Yes.
I still hurt whenever Jim winds up being a douchebag to him.
I still root for Edward every time.
Me too.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So it still pulls on me on it.
Absolutely.
But
and it's
nostalgically, yeah, it does.
Absolutely.
But I need to do more dissecting. And everybody asks me, how do you do that? How do you go from reviewing a movie nostalgically and then stripping away the nostalgia like that? I said, okay, so you're going to laugh your ass off at me. You're like, why? I said, first of all, I watched it for the first time for fun.
Yeah.
That's my nostalgic side.
Yeah.
Second time is getting down to the nitty-gritty of stripping it away.
Right.
And that way I'll have my notes, I'll have everything I need.
Yeah.
And break down everything.
Well, no, I mean, but that makes sense, and that's, like me, I'm a huge Johnny Depp fan. I have seen every movie of his. I even joked on your TikTok that he can do no wrong, although he can do wrong. Crybaby was awful.
Yes.
I'll say it. Even a couple of his other movies I've seen were absolutely awful. Like, recently, he has been awful. Yep. I'm going to say it.
He's been in some bad movies.
He has. No, he has. If you ever want to really talk about Johnny Depp, I'll come on y'all's podcast and we can go at it. Because dude, he has picked some winners and some losers. But this was not a loser. This was great.
I always say this though. Okay? Early '90s, Johnny Depp was basically, if you think about it, trying to find out who he is, and also too, if you think about it like this, it was basically about therapy, about self-help in a sense. I'm trying to think of the word I'm thinking of, but you know what I'm saying.
I do. He was, as an artist, he was figuring out his niche. He was figuring out what he could do. He was learning who he was. He was growing, and he did a lot. He did a lot of good. Like What's Eating Gilbert Grape was absolutely phenomenal. He did Dead
Don
Man.
Juan DeMarco. Yep.
Dead Man was good. Which one?
Don Juan DeMarco. He did that one.
Loved that one.
Benny and June.
Loved that one. He did, and a lot of these people either don't know about or haven't seen in years. And you go back and you watch them, and they're like, even, I hate to say it, even Chocolat wasn't that bad.
I never sat all the way through Chocolat, to be honest.
Okay, so I like it because it's Johnny Depp and it's Peter Stormare.
Mm-hmm.
And I like both of them. But I liked it. Oh, and it's also got Alfred Molina. So there's like a lot of people I liked for that one.
I'm gonna have to watch that.
You should. By the way, one of my first jobs was working in a movie store. So I literally just watched movies for like 6 hours a night.
That's pretty cool.
That's
that was
why
actually my senior job.
That's why I know way too many movies. But no, and it was, and he did some really, really cool. I will say peak Johnny Depp, Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yep.
Sorry, not gonna lie. But I will say that early '90s, like Edward Scissorhands, is probably top Johnny Depp. I
agree, and during those times too, it was mental health movies. That's what I was trying to think of.
Oh yes,
he's
definitely.
Basically doing mental health movies and stuff like that too, and he did such a great job with all those things. And the movies that we mentioned is very underrated. As a matter of fact, I actually did a Benny and June review.
I love Benny and June. I really do. It was so good.
I love Benny and June. It had so much heart into it.
Yeah.
It was. I love that one. Don Juan DeMarco. What's Eating Gilbert Grape. The list just goes on. The
reason I love Don Juan DeMarco is, first of all, Johnny Depp, but secondly, Marlon Brando.
Okay.
I do.
I
know.
like it because of the Zorro themes.
Yes, yeah, but I just liked it because, like, Marlon Brando, that's when he didn't care anymore. Like, he was
You're
just...
right. He really did.
He was just doing movies, and then to get to see him actually with Johnny Depp as younger Johnny Depp, it was like, oh, that's actually kind of cool. And it was just one of those movies that was so almost random that it was...
It was like, well, who can play the psychiatrist in this mental asylum?
Right, and it was just so randomly good. I will say that. For being just such a good, you know what's funny? I literally was watching that one night when I was like a junior in high school, just randomly watching it at work. That's why I watched it. Like, I was at work in the movie store, just, it's a Johnny Depp movie I haven't seen. I'm going to watch this tonight, and that's how I watched it.
You see, that was actually my senior year of high school, was working at a video store.
Yeah.
So that was my favorite thing to do.
Yeah, and I would pick out random movies. I used to watch old black and white movies. I only ever got in trouble for watching one movie.
What movie was that?
Tombstone.
Really?
Rated R.
I never got in trouble for watching rated R movies before.
Nope.
My mom never censored me from rated R movies.
Oh, no.
Or anything like that.
Not my mom. The video store.
Yeah. Okay.
Couldn't watch rated R in the video store, and I was watching Tombstone. So
yeah, now I see why.
Got in trouble for that. Even though I didn't care, I loved it. I still to this day, Tombstone is my second favorite Western. Still don't care. So
I haven't seen that one all the way through either. That's another one I need to go with.
Yeah, you need to. Just for Val Kilmer.
I agree.
Doc
can't do no
Holliday.
wrong. Matter of fact, we just did a review on Val Kilmer's Top Secret.
Yeah. I love that. I love him in that one, and I love... Yeah, we're going to have to actually just talk about movies one day, you and I, apparently.
Yes, definitely. We have a lot to talk about.
Yes, we do. So I'm going to... I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up because my episode's really about an hour long. We've talked about an hour. So
Okay.
I'm going to do my exit, but don't get off the recording yet, okay?
Okay.
All right. So thank you so much for coming on tonight, John. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
No,
it was a pleasure.
Yeah, no, this has been so much fun. I'm going to find another movie that was in Florida just to come talk to you about movies again. I hope you're okay with that.
Oh, yeah, most definitely. We can probably do Birdcage or something.
Oh, I love that one. Let's do that. Okay, you're going to be on soon. We're going to have to talk about that one too.
Okay.
So thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. This will probably be out in the next month or so. I think I told you that before we started recording. But yeah, if you can find John on Movielovers Unite. You can find him on, I know you're on TikTok. I know you're on X or Twitter. You're on YouTube. Are you on Facebook?
I'm on Facebook, Instagram. I'm on all the socials.
Okay, so if
And
you
threads, yeah.
want to see really awesome movie reviews or interviews, definitely check them out. I follow them. I absolutely love them. You can find them also on the Unfiltered Studios page. He's part of the network that I'm in. So thank you again, John. I really appreciate having you on.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me, and have a good rest of your night. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. All right, guys. I really hope you enjoyed that as much as I do. It was a great trip down nostalgia and memory lane, and just feeling like a kid again, and remembering how you felt when you first watched it. And of course, huge Johnny Depp fan, and just getting to talk about movies and having fun. And I really, really hope you guys enjoyed that as much as I do. Let me know if you like this episode. I'm definitely up for doing more like this because, I mean, a lot of people film in Florida. Kind of already feeling like I want to do The Punisher next just because it was filmed in Tampa. But let me know what you guys think. Hit up all the socials. Don't forget to leave a review, like, subscribe, and follow so you don't miss more episodes. Don't forget to look up Unfiltered Studios. All these people that I've had on lately, they're all from Unfiltered Studios. They're all amazing people with their own podcasts. Check them out. Still hurricane season, guys. Stay prepared. It's not a joke. It's bad. Like, it's, I mean, the water's warm, really warm this year. Just be prepared. So, as always, guys, wear your sunscreen, drink your water, be nice. Everybody's fighting a battle you don't know about. And that's your daily dose of sunshine.
This podcast is a production of Unfiltered Studios. If you would like to know more about joining Unfiltered Studios, please visit our website at unfpod.com for more information.